I bought a new bike off Craigslist the other day because you guys know it's the COVID, it's the quarantine still. I mean, we're expanding slightly, here, there, and everywhere, and opening our circles just so. But that said, it is still quarantine. So I heard that bikes were selling like hotcakes, and I thought, fuck, I need a new bike. I better get one before they're all sold out. And I went on Craigslist last weekend and real quick locked myself down a $60 Huffy. It's sick, you guys. It's really sick. I wish I had a picture of it to show you. Maybe I'll like insert one on the podcast screen here. But I got a sick new bike from a guy named Jerry on Craigslist who said I had a great personality. So we have that. I should have told him I have a fucking podcast. I'd have a listener. I'd have one fan already if I just told Jerry. Anyways, I digress. So I went to Jerry's house because he had a pink and black hot little Huffy. And I asked him over the phone. I said, listen, can you tell me about the frame size of this bike? Because I've had bikes before that did not fit me properly, and like that I was teetering and tiptoeing and falling side to side. I have one memory specifically, two really. One of my Aunt Michaela sending me her bike, which was such a beautiful, wonderful gift when I graduated college. She's like, you need to have a good bike. And she's a woman who does triathlons and things. So she had a really nice bike, and she thought it would be nice of her to get it all packaged properly, tuned up, blah, 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 like professionally packaged by a bike company and sent to me. And that was the first time I realized that a bike is not the same. A bike does not, what is that? Like, it's not the bike of the traveling pants, the sister of the traveling pants bike. Like, not everyone can fit on the same bike. Like, not everyone can wear the same jeans. She is a woman who's probably, I don't know, I'm going to take a liberty and say 5'8". I am a woman of 5'2". And so anytime I would get on the bike, I would have to use the staircase in front of our house to like prop myself up on the stair and then jump on it. And once I got going, I couldn't stop. Like I couldn't put my feet down to stop. So I would have to just like kind of ride to wherever I was going and then fall off the bike. And then usually I would then leave the bike wherever and make someone give me a ride home. I remember my friend's Meg's dad always being like, Tessa's bike's here again. It's like, yeah, well, she couldn't get back on it. So we need to drop it off at her house. And then I have a memory of my best friend Sam's dad seeing me one time. And he was like, Tess drove by today. She came by on her bike, didn't even stop. I'm like, did you tell your dad I can't stop? I can't physically stop the bike or else I can't get back on the bike. So there was that. And then there was a time when I lived in California and I borrowed one of my male roommate's bikes. Same scenario. Have I talked about this in a podcast before? I biked 14 miles to get my eyebrows threaded, down the Pacific Coast Highway in Redondo, from Redondo to wherever I rode to. And, yeah, that's like some near death shit when you're on a bike on a semi highway and you can't even touch your feet to the ground if you needed to stop. Kind of danger zone. I wouldn't recommend it. What ended up happening was like I would have to pull up to like a light pole or like a telephone pole and like prop myself and then get my foot on there real good so that I was kind of stabilized. Yeah, it was a danger zone. It was a danger zone. So needless to say, when purchasing this bike this week before I went to the man's house, I was like, can you sort of give me a gauge of whether or not you think it will fit a woman who's 5'2"? He said, I'll lower the seat for you. My wife's 5'4". It fit her. Let's go for it. I went. It's a kick-ass bike, you guys. Bought it for $60. Excuse me. The body of it's mostly black, has a few pink accents, but then it's like a road bike. So it has those really cool, like wraparound handlebars. Those are all pink. My seat's pink. My wheels are pink. Yeah, it's pretty sick. That said, I think the tires are from like 1970 and they're like crumbling each time the wheel goes round. So I will need to replace those, but I'm hoping that if I can't find pink ones, I can spray paint them. All this to say, Excuse me while I get ahead of myself here. All this to say that I got the bike, cleaned up the bike, took it for a ride down to a park by us, decided that like my vagina was hurting too bad because this is what perpetually happens with a bike. And I don't know why I always insist on riding one because my vag bone will hurt for a week after. And so my vag bone was feeling sore and I said, well, let me take a little break here. Laid down under a tree, propped my bike up with the kickstand, and after a few minutes of enjoying the lovely day under the tree, the bike proceeded to fall on top of me and my arm, and I have a gnarly bruise on my left arm right now that people probably wouldn't believe the bike fell on me. So rather than show it to you, I figured I would control it with my long sleeve shirt. However, I also keep having this feeling where I want to like jump up and prop myself up on the chair like a child. Like I feel like I always do that. And I don't really have pants on. So I'm going to try to remember not to prop myself up. Not that you guys would see the vagine. I have tiny, I guess they call them shorts, but they're not bigger than underwear. So, if there's any men watching, I have a feeling they'll stay tuned just to see. I better talk for a long time to really get those like YouTube podcast longevity flowing. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, fucking Christ. I mean, what am I even doing here? Is anyone still listening? Hello? I can't tell.